Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast for this special episode. I guess coinciding with the 60th anniversary celebrations, even though at the time of recording, there's one episode to go of Doctor Who before the 60th is kind of, I guess, finished. Today is kind of a New Year's special, like the last episode of the year. So before today's guest introduces herself, I just want to say thank you to anyone who's come on the podcast this year. If you've come on to speak about hobbies like Doctor Who or just autism, Crohn's, any of that kind of stuff that we normally speak about, thank you. But without any further ado, Sophie, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
Of course I will, Mason. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And my name is Sophie Aldred, and I played, well, I suppose you could say I still play the character of Ace in Doctor who was companion to the Seventh Doctor and then more recently the 13th Doctor as well.
Yeah, it must have been interesting for sure, like coming back to play Ace again.
It was absolutely brilliant, yes. First of all, in Jodie's final episode, her regeneration story, The Power of the Doctor, and then more recently than that, doing Tales of the Tardis to celebrate the 60th anniversary and to celebrate the fact that, yay, Doctor Who is now available to everybody in the UK for free on iPlayer, which is marvelous, isn't it?
At last, at long last.
At last, yeah, so good.
Yeah, because actually prior to this like talking to you today, I binge watched all of like the Seventh Doctor's adventures.
Oh my goodness, how long did
Yeah,
that take you?
2 days. Um,
Oh, wow.
well, I was thinking to myself, hang on a minute. I'm having Sophie on the podcast who played Ace, and I've never watched Ace. I've watched Ace, but like how good the character is, but I've never actually watched the Seventh Doctor Adventures. The only one I did watch the Tales of the TARDIS first, so I watched the Curse of Fenrick. That would have been the first
Oh,
story I
that's
watched.
so interesting because often people come either via the classic stories, obviously, or they've seen Power of the Doctor and then they go backwards. So you saw Tales of the TARDIS. What did you think? What was it like for you watching those episodes?
Like, of course, I saw Power of the Doctor first prior to seeing you, but watching Tales of the TARDIS first, it was interesting because most of the stories on there I've never watched before. So for most people, that they might have just skipped at the start and at the end because they've seen the stories. But for me, it was awesome because I've never watched any of it, nothing. So
Wow.
it was like a movie, wasn't it? Every episode, so it was really cool.
Yes. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, to be able to introduce it to people. And in fact, it's funny because I had a quick chat with Russell this summer, and he told me that that was one of the reasons, one of the things he wanted to do for the 60th anniversary for the fans was to have it all available on iPlayer. And he said, because there will be so many people who've never seen any of the classic series. So you've done exactly what he was designing, which is that he thought of this Tales of the TARDIS to introduce people like yourself who've never seen any of, say, Ace and the Seventh Doctor or any of the other previous Doctors. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great because it's like watching Doctor Who when you haven't watched it before. Um, Even though
Yes.
I've watched them like from 2005 onwards at the start, but then you could look because there wasn't a never available. I think it was available on BritBox, but but it wasn't available like on BBC iPlayer, which is great now
Yeah.
because
So
it's all
yeah,
there.
it's great, isn't it? Because for the price of a TV license, you can have all that incredible content from 60 years worth, and also all the kind of stuff like I'd not ever seen anything like the archives before. Um, and all the history stuff on there as well, which is fascinating. The
Yeah,
fact that you can see people like Sydney Newman being interviewed and the original discussions on letters about the TARDIS and how expensive it was and everything. It's fascinating. Love
so
it.
it is, and it's so cool. I think now they've renamed it all the Universe, because it's really cool because like you have like before every Doctor Who episode or series now you have that little ident of all the companions. And I think it's really cool, like how like if something on Doctor Who, even like the thing that David Tennant done for like I think the CBBC, where that little story, even that's gone on there. So every little thing now goes on there, which
Oh,
is
it's so great, isn't it? Because and I mean, it's such a contrast to how it was back in the day in 1987 when I first got the part, because then all you had was print newspapers. And so John Nathan Turner was constantly trying to kind of find stunts and things to get Doctor Who into the papers so that it would get more viewers, you know. Nowadays, of course, you just have to sit at home on your phone. But back in those days, there was nothing like that. This is a world that we could never have dreamed of back in the day.
yeah, it is good that Doctor Who is like it is now, because like you say, I think it stopped twice. Doctor Who did, and and hopefully that doesn't happen again, where we have to. Well, I haven't had the experience, but I've spoke to people in the past where it hurt, you know, like with Doctor Who stopping for 10 years of their life, it's like something's gone. Um,
Yes. Oh, it was awful for fans. And it, in a funny way, I mean, it was very sad for me and Sylvester, but in a way you get used to that as an actor. You know, you do a job, you move on. You know, it was a bit different with Doctor Who because it was so fun and enjoyable to do. So I missed it, but it wasn't like the end of the world, and I got lots of other work, and so did he. But for the fans, it was absolutely heartbreaking. And it was incredible to think that this program that had gone on for all these years was not going to happen again. And I remember actually during that time when Doctor Who wasn't on, I remember somebody asked me to go and open a museum or be at a museum in somewhere down south, and they'd put a dalek at the top of the stairs, and then I was at a table signing autographs, and a little boy came upstairs with his mum, and he looked at the dalek and he said, "Mummy, what's that?" And I just thought, oh, that's so sad, this whole generation of children growing up not knowing what a dalek is, you know.
yeah,
That was heartbreaking as well.
yeah, because that's the most iconic villain, isn't it? It's the most everyone
Yeah,
know it.
it's the one that everybody recognizes. It's funny, isn't it? Because as in the world of Doctor Who and Doctor Who fans, and probably people who are listening to your podcast and you and I, we all know this folklore, you know, the Daleks and we could name you loads of monsters and things like that. But to the general public who are not real fans or don't watch Doctor Who that much, you even see Doctor Who turning up. There's a reference, I reckon, every day to something to do with Doctor Who on some totally unrelated program. I'm a great listener to Radio 4, and pretty much every day you'll hear somebody saying, well, it's like the Tardis, or, you know, oh, well, the Daleks, you know, or something to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah,
It's extraordinary how it's just embedded in our British cultural life.
yeah, you get so many like you say, things like that. You see, even in other programs on telly, you'll sometimes hear. I think once in like it might have been Emmerdale, where I don't watch Emmerdale anymore, but I used to growing up, and there was like a reference saying, "Oh look, you like you're in the TARDIS." So like
Yes.
so stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And people just sort of accept those references, don't they? Because it's like, I don't know, well, it's like Marmite and Kellogg's cornflakes, you know, although that's probably American, you're going to tell me, but
Yeah. So like speaking of like the Daleks and stuff, was that like the favorite like monster that you thought do like or your favorite monster in general in Doctor Who?
It's funny actually, because although I was absolutely thrilled that my first story as this sort of full assistant to the Seventh Doctor was against the Daleks, and then of course I got to beat one up with a baseball bat, which I was just so thrilled about. For me, it was actually the Cybermen I didn't want to meet, because they, when I was growing up, they were the ones that I was really scared of. And my mum actually stopped me watching Doctor Who because I was too scared. I was having nightmares about the Cybermen. And there's something about the Cybermen, not so much the new ones, but the old ones, who had those mouths that kind of, they click open, and they had these voices, and they would sort of talk like that. These robotic sounding creatures who looked like humans but weren't. I think that's what really scared me. So to have the chance to get my own back on these Cybermen and actually kill them off with a catapult and a bag of gold coins, for me was, that was it. You know, that was really great. So yeah, I'm very fond of the Cybermen. I think in the modern era, probably my favorite monsters are the Weeping Angels. I mean, you know, everyone goes, yeah, 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 weeping, but it's true. And I think what they do is something that Doctor Who does so brilliantly, which is takes a familiar object, a normal everyday thing. You know, you walk past statues, and then it turns them into something horrifying. And yeah, I think they're really good. Those very scary.
They are like they are very scary because you move away, they come closer. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like if you think of the Weeping Angels in a sense, I know if they get you and they take you back in time, you can't come back. But in a way, it might be interesting just to be taken back in time if you might get longer. I don't know. Like
Yeah. Would you like that? Where would you like to go if you went back in
um,
time?
um, I would go back in time. I don't know. Maybe to when Doctor Who began from the first Doctor. Um,
Mm.
and see what it was like because, of course, like it was all different back then. Um, so it would have been interesting just to see what the world's like all those years ago.
A world with no technology, no social media. Can you even imagine it, you
No,
youngster, you?
no, I've always known. I have a phone and
Yeah, it's really funny actually, isn't it? Because even, I mean, you know, I'm getting to be a bit of an old lady now, but even I struggle now to remember what it was like before mobile phones. You know, the sort of classic things like, I was texting yesterday saying, you know, oh, can we meet here instead of here, you know, and can we meet at this time instead of this time? You couldn't do that in the olden days when I was a lass. You had to make an arrangement and you had to stick to it because there was no way of changing it.
yeah, um,
Can you
uh,
imagine that, folks?
yeah, it's crazy. But I guess the Weeping Angels was the like I know like you said, Cyberman scared you. Like for me, like the monsters that scared me growing up were the it was David Tennant's first series as the Doctor. Um,
Oh, yes.
and the one that it's actually my favorite episode now. But it scared me. It would get on the fireplace where like the under the bed. You know, there's like always that fear of people under the bed when you're
Oh,
asleep.
yes. It's a classic fear, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I had that as well. I've just remembered I used to worry that a hand was going to reach, you know, reach my ankle and pull me over, something there. And I used to, did you do this? I used to kind of jump onto the bed from a bit
yeah,
further away.
yeah, I did, and like my legs there. Like I always had to have the light on as a kid. Um, and
Oh,
now
did you?
I just love horror. So I've grown up
Oh,
from it, and I just love it. And I think the scary Doctor Who episodes are my favourite now. I just think they're the ones I enjoy more.
that's so interesting, isn't it? So you kind of you've got over that fear.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
took a
Good.
while.
I take my hat off to you. I still can't do horror, and I still can't do Um, jump scares, oh, don't like them. I can do them in the daytime, but then if I watch something too disturbing close to bedtime, that's me gone. Can't get to sleep. Get nightmares.
Yeah. Did you watch the last like the Wild Blue Yonder? Like
I
Doctor Who?
did. Yes, I did. I'm glued to Doctor Who. And it's funny because I know that it's sort of divided opinion. It's a very much another reference to Marmite here, but it's a very much a Marmite episode, I think. I absolutely loved it. I thought the development of the characters was so good, and it was great to see the Doctor and Donna sparking off each other again. I love the idea of these doubles, you know. It's a classic trope, isn't it? But it was done so well, and so um it was a sort of a new invention of that trope. And I loved, I mean, you know, I love the big hand suddenly, you know, the big arm suddenly dying on the, and you can see that it's an effect, you know, you can see that it's a false arm. But somehow, I mean, if I was a kid watching that, I think I'd have been pretty scared.
Yeah.
And the jaw going, whoa, like that.
Yeah.
Was
But like to me like when Russell initially said it was weird, I was right. It's definitely weird. It's a weird episode, but it's a funny episode.
yes.
Like to me, it's not initially scary, but what did freak me out was at the start. So like you say, it's divided opinion. People may say it's slow, but my opinion, it should be slow because the whole concept of the episode is slow. Um,
Yes, of
um,
course.
because
Yeah, and you're
as we
suddenly
find out,
after this kind of frenzy of everything happening, and then suddenly there's Sir Isaac Newton and da, 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 and suddenly boom. And then, you know, that, and what's great is that they're working it out, you know, and so are you as an audience. I mean, it reminded me a bit of, funnily enough, playing a board game, you know, when you're kind of trying to work things out and you're kind of going, oh yeah, but could that be, or is that? And then the robot, you know, that I loved that robot. It was a gorgeous little robot. I want a little toy robot like that with the mouth expression was so fantastic. And you're kind of thinking, yeah, but I thought it was great. And then getting on that whizzy thing, you know, and going down, it did remind me of some kind of game.
it
Yeah,
was.
working out where you are, which environment, or a video game as well.
Yeah. The
I
other thing.
love the scene, and I think one of my favorite bits was the bit in the cockpit where he opens the shutter and then there's space outside, and then you see the captain and it cuts to outside and you see, and it reminded me, and I don't know whether this was deliberate or not, but it did remind me of the film Gravity,
Oh yeah,
um, or Mavity as we have to call it now.
yeah. Yeah, I think that bit was confusing. Like, okay, like because I understood it more when I watched Unleashed, where David Tennant says because we kind of changed what it is because Isaac Newton thought Donna said Mavity, but she said gravity, but Isaac Newton got it wrong. So it was all because
Yes.
of that. Um,
And I think that's going to come back. I think that's a setup for the future. That is.
yeah.
We shall see. Russell's very, very clever man.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's got anything to do with the final episode. So it might do, it might not,
I
but
hope so.
uh, I hope so too. But the scene that would really creep out to me was right at the start, like when we got into the bit where the doubles came into play. Like, you know, when they went into their separate rooms, the Donna and Doctor,
Yes.
and then the Doctor came in straight away. I actually thought that Doctor was actually the Doctor, not the double at the start.
Yes.
I thought, hang on a minute, you've just
Yeah,
come
I
back
think
in.
you were
But
meant to.
yeah,
The only thing that kind of slightly signaled it to me was he squats down. Like, I don't know if you noticed that. I've only watched it once, but there was a funny noise when and it sounded like and I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. Um, there was some kind of effect at that moment, and I thought, and then gradually it unfolds, and you go, oh yes, okay, something weird is going on here.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I liked when that happened, and I thought I was watching with my family, and I was saying, "Hang on a minute, wait, David's there, and then Donna's there. What's going on?"
Yes.
It just reminds me of, you know, those top creepy episodes like Midnight, and stuff like that. Blink,
Mm.
um, and
Yes.
I did really enjoy it. I liked both of the specials. I like the Star Beast too, but I liked this one for the sense because there's lots of action in it, like the running. I love the running of Doctor Who and the action, um,
Yes.
and I think they've both been great so far. So I'm really
Yeah,
excited.
I do too. I wouldn't like to say it's funny when you say, "Oh, which is your favorite episode?" or which is because they're all so different.
Yeah,
How can you compare the Star Beast
can't
with Wild Blue Yonder? You know, you can't.
definitely
It's a completely different genre. It's a completely different vibe. It's a completely different pace. That's what's one of the great things about Doctor Who, isn't it? If you don't like one week, well, hey, there's always next week.
definitely, and I think because it was a so secret episode, which I like. I hope they do more than that. Maybe like once a series, perhaps, or something
Yes.
would be nice.
Yes, wasn't it nice to come to something completely new, refreshing, and people speculating as well, saying, oh, I think I saw something on Twitter or something which said, oh, they're going to end up on this TARDIS that isn't the TARDIS, and this evil TARDIS, and da, 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 da. And it wasn't like that at all. It's so people can kind of speculate about what it's going to be like.
Because everyone had this in their mind that, like, you've got Matt Smith returning and Peter Capaldi's going to make an appearance. You've got all these other people, which I think if that did happen, it wouldn't have been as good. I think it was really good just to have one story with Doctor and Donna on their own. No one else.
Wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
great, wasn't it? Yeah,
definitely.
really good.
But really exciting. But when you was on the Power of the Doctor, how was that compared to, like, I imagine how different it was to when you was with Sylvester as on with him.
Well, the funny thing is that it wasn't really that different. The only thing that had really, really changed was the size of the equipment. The cameras have got a heck of a lot smaller. And but otherwise the atmosphere, the number of people required is pretty much the same. The makeup, costume, those wonderful departments, they're all always lovely people. And I think what was great about it was that I was genuinely surprised at how similar it was, and that's a lot to do with Jodie, who reminded me in a way the energy she had and these sort of her kind of generosity reminded me of Sylvester. Sylvester had always said it's like he wanted it to be like we were having a party, and that everybody was invited. And it felt like that with Jodie. She knew the crew so well. She knew then all their names, all their families and everything. It was a very, very lovely atmosphere on set. And the director as well. He was brilliant, Jamie Magnus Stone. He was kind of gentle, calm, just really quietly getting on with the job, would just come over and have a little chat, and he and I got on really well. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. It was great.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that episode. I think it was lovely, like with everyone coming back, like doctors,
Mm, mm,
companions, regeneration at the end was lovely, um, and surprising, as well.
mm, mm.
Did
I
what?
like the fact that it was on Durdle Door in Lulworth Cove, which is
Yeah.
where we filmed Curse of Fenrick. Uh, yeah,
Yeah. Maybe it's the reason why they done it there.
yeah. Could very probably it can't have been an accident.
No, yeah, they knew you was going to be in the episode, so they thought, let's just do it there."
Could be, yeah. Also,
Yeah,
it's just along the coast from where Chris Chibnall lives, but
yeah, easy, easy. Um, but what because I think because like Jodie. and David weren't on the same set when the regeneration happened. Was you like kept in the dark as well when like David? Did you know he was going to be there to be
No, we
next?
knew nothing about it. No, our scripts were blank. That after the we didn't even get the scripts for the for Mandip and Jodie's scenes. Ours just stopped at the end with the companion scene at the end. And we knew, we knew that there was going to be the regeneration, but we were all happy not to know what it was going to be.
Yeah, it's nice to be surprised.
Mm.
Um, because I think we was all thinking it was going to be Shooty, um,
Yeah.
popping up. Um,
Mm.
but and then we see David.
Surprises are great, aren't they? And it's funny, isn't it? Because I don't know whether you find this, but when, for example, a magic trick is explained to you, it's always a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it's the same, I think, with Doctor Who. If you know what's going to happen all the time, there's no element of surprise, and there's that delayed gratification as well. You go, oh wow, there isn't a wow factor if you always know what's going to happen.
yeah. I like those kind of surprises, and especially like in the last episode with right at the end seeing Bernard Cribbins again.
That was lovely, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Oh, I shed a few tears, I have to
yeah.
say. It was so beautiful,
I
really
keep
lovely.
I keep rewatching it because Russell said that was the only scene he would be able to do. So I just watch it over and over again. And it's great. It's just how happy he was. I think
Mm.
it wasn't him acting there. I think he was just generally happy to see
Oh,
David.
I absolutely agree. I think it really was. And you can see there's a lovely still I saw of the moment where David is hugging Bernard Cribbins, and you can see Catherine Tate in the background, and her face is priceless because it's a real expression of joy. It's not Donna Noble, it's Catherine Tate. It's
Yeah.
lovely.
It's almost it's like the scene when David. I love this scene as well. I think both episodes have a memorable moment with that Bernard Cribbins in World Beyond on the Star Beast. It's where David's just running around the TARDIS like he's a little kid, and how excited he is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great, isn't it?
yeah. And I think
So cool.
and I love them. And it is definitely sad. About Bernard Cribbins because with celebrities that you've never met and people, I don't. That's probably the first person that I've got sad from dying. I'd say because
Oh, really?
like they're not like my family, but the Doctor Who family.
Yes.
And I got sent it like the morning, and I couldn't talk to anyone. I think for a day because I was just so sad because
Hmm.
he might have only been in a few episodes, but over his whole life he's done so much.
Yeah, and I can really understand that, Mason, because if you don't have people in your family who've died, or because I think that character Wilf and Bernard Cribbins himself as a man was such a sort of grandfatherly figure, I think, that yeah, it's quite right to be sad as well, I think, because it sort of honors who they are as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's a real testament to who he was as a person, that you, who never met him, felt sad. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't think even he didn't even expect him to be as a big impact as he was on Doctor Who. Um,
Oh yeah. I think it's something that took him and probably everybody else actually by surprise, but everybody just loved him, didn't they?
yeah, and I think it's great. It's great that we got to see him like last time on Doctor Who. And
Mm.
at least I think it's good that as well he's in a good way that he weren't in the giggle. Not, of course, it would be nice. I get he's mentioned, but it's good because he gets his own scene. He gets his own scene
Yeah.
on his own, rather than lots of other people. Because let's be honest, the giggle's going to be quite hectic. Lots going to be going on in it by the looks of things. So, um,
Yes. Yes, I think that's one of the ones that's going to it's going to need a few watchings, I would imagine,
Yeah,
to get it all, don't you?
yeah, because
Are we lucky we can do that now? That's another thing we could never
yeah,
do back in the day. You know, when Sylvester and I were doing Doctor Who, that was it pretty much. I mean, I think people had VCRs, but they were very expensive. So you would be very lucky if you had one. And so you just watched the episode and then you'd have to wait till the next week to find out because of course we had cliffhangers as well.
yeah. Like I do enjoy the next times. I think that's something we look forward to at the end of an episode.
Mm,
But at the same time, I don't know. It's maybe not like you could say it's maybe you don't want to know what happens next week till next week.
yes. We never had that, you see, then, because what we had was oh, I'll give you an example. In Survival, there's a bit where Ace starts turning into a cat person and she gets the eyes and there's a look. I remember I turned into camera like this and you could see the eyes were going a bit yellow. And that was the end of the episode. You know, there was the music, credits roll. That is it until for a whole week you've got to wait to find out what is going to happen to Ace. And it was about five minutes after that was transmitted, and there was a little knock at my front door, and I opened the door, and it was this boy who lived down the road, little boy, and he said, "I just came to check you were okay." It was so cute because yeah, you didn't know what was going to happen, and you had to wait a whole 7 days.
Yeah, it's crazy really because like I think there were like 4 episodes or 3 episodes could be now 1 episode like length time wise.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Which is crazy, really. Think about it, because like for me, I've always been used to 45 minutes episodes,
Yes,
and like I don't mind 30 minutes, but for me, just watching it like binging it like I did yesterday or the day before, is easy. But I guess when they were live, you'd be thinking, only 30 minutes. We got to wait to
yeah.
next week for another 30 minutes now.
I've heard so many stories of people who were waiting to see what, you know, waiting for the final episode of Survival, for example, and then their family were going out that night. So they never saw it until years later when it was released on video, you know?
Oh, so you had to watch it live, otherwise you wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah. You had to sit down, watch it live. And you know, if there was a problem with your TV, you know, you couldn't get your aerial sorted, or you know, or if there's a power cut or something like that, or if your mum and dad said you got to go out somewhere, that was it.
No record.
No recording, no
Oh,
nothing. Can
oh,
you imagine that?
no. I mean,
You can't,
no,
can you?
no, but I think now we don't have to like. If Doctor Who's not on and I forget to record it, I'll just go on BBC iPlayer and watch it. So,
Exactly. This is
um,
why, especially for my generation and those a bit younger than me, and older than me, it's just like gold having it all available. You know, people can't believe it. It's like a treasure chest.
yeah, and it is like there's some stuff on the Whoniverse, which I watched when I was a kid, like those animated David Tennant stories, and I watch it again, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, I remember watching this when years ago, and that they're back. There's some stuff in there I haven't watched, like Doctor Who Confidential, which
Yeah,
I love because you just watch how it's made. And especially like Doctor Who Unleashed. Watch the last episode, which is like what we say with the hands, which is really interesting because David Tennant has to have all these pictures. Has to wear it. There's like a little lever in the arm where he's having to move it. So it's
it's
really interesting.
amazing. It is so interesting. Yeah.
It's really interesting how it's filmed because
Mm,
you know at the start when they meet their double gangers where they've got long arms, and then
yes.
when Donna runs to see the doctor, well, when she's got her back to the camera, that's the double, well, a person that's not actually Catherine, and then the actual
Yes.
Catherine is across wearing the arms. So they do it really clever how they film.
So clever, yeah. And what I love though is that it's still, a lot of it is how we used to do it back in the day. So that's exactly what we'd have done. You'd have had somebody who looks a bit like Catherine, and you'd have had somebody with a wig and all that. So that it's just still made in similar ways. I mean, obviously the technology and the CGI and all that has really increased, but to actually have that real arm, as you were saying, with the bar and the animatronics. I mean, that was how in Battlefield, the destroyer, for example, that was, yeah, somebody in a suit, but it had an animatronic face, and the water, or the ancient one in Curse of Fenrick, and there were these couple of just brilliant model makers called Stephen Mansfield and Sue Moore, and they operated all that, and and still that is done like that as well. It's like the Meep in the Star Beast,
Yeah, that was
that was
very
all
good.
real. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Meep. I can't wait till they release like plushies and teddies of it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I think they've got to, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they should do one where you have a button, or like where you squeeze it, it has angry Meep and happy Meep.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. I don't know when they'll do it, but I hope so soon.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, he- I knew the Meep was going to be a villain, but I just didn't want the Meep to be, because especially when he was talking to Rose at the beginning, how cute it
Yeah.
was, and it was just so nice, and then you just turned evil and hate everyone.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, but I think the CGI was perfect. I think they even said that's the best creation they've made. Um,
yes. Well, I think it was so good that it was an actual real live creature with somebody inside it and
yeah,
animatronics. It was so clever, wasn't it?
yeah, you had this person inside, then you had, I think, someone controlling the arms, someone controlling the legs, um, and apparently it was so hot in there as well, so they had to have breathers. Um,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I love monsters like that. Um, but you have to appreciate the actor, like especially going
Oh
on
my
set.
goodness. We always used to feel so sorry for the people inside, especially things like the Candyman in the Happiness Patrol, and the Cybermen even. They had their helmets screwed down, they were, and even the people inside the Daleks, there they were, working everything as well, and moving along like Flintstones with their feet underneath. Incredible.
Definitely. Are you quite looking forward to like Shooty coming as a
I
Doctor next?
can't wait. I can't wait. I've um I met somebody who's seen it already,
Okay.
and just says, whoa, shoot is just incredible. I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks the Doctor.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's such a great actor, let's face it.
yeah.
Um I I saw I'm going to see Bonnie in Old Friends, in the show she's doing in the West End on Friday. And I can't wait to see her as well. Mind you, by the time this goes out, it'll probably have been out already, but we're waiting, aren't we, with great anticipation, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. By the time this is out, yeah, the Christmas special would have been out. But I think I love that they're back. I think Russell said that one thing he wanted to do when coming back to write Doctor Who is bring in the Christmas specials back.
Yes, yes, it's great, isn't it? What a
Yeah.
treat.
Just watching it on Christmas Day, having your roast dinner, and then sitting there watching
Yes,
Doctor Who.
yeah.
But I like
And then knowing
I
you,
love
you'll
it.
probably be watching it again, won't you? A bit later
Yeah,
on Christmas Day and
yeah,
Boxing Day.
yeah,
We
yeah.
probably all will.
We'll have to rewatch it. I mean, from these new specials, I've never rewatched an episode so much, for a long time. Um, but
Mm,
I I love, like, I think Shooty by the looks of things has half a dozen costumes that
yes.
he's wearing. So that's going to be interesting if people want to cosplay him. Um,
Oh, I was going to say that's going to be great for the cosplayers, isn't it? Because they can choose their favorite shooty costume.
yeah. Um, I do cosplay, so I at the moment doing the 14th Doctor because the 14th Doctor's here.
Of
Um,
course.
um, I did do well. I because I had Paul McGann on. I went to a convention earlier in the year, and I asked Paul McGann because I heard lots of the really good things about him, how nice he was to fans and everything. So
Yeah,
I said to him, Paul, would you like to come on my podcast? I never had a doctor on before. It'd be lovely to have you on. He said, yep, I'll come on, Mason. And then the following Wednesday comes on.
ah,
And
great.
it was
Good old
amazing.
Paul.
And because of that, I decided, because he was wearing, he said, Mason, I'm going to be wearing cosplay too. I'm going to get, someone's making my 8th Doctor suit that I wore in the Power of the Doctor, and I'm going to be wearing it. So
Oh,
to surprise him, I got it made by the same person for me. So when I went to the Telford Comic Con in like a couple of weeks ago now, November, I was there, and he was like, and then the guy that made him was just behind. He was there as well. It was funny, like we were just in the same costume.
that's amazing. Great. Good for
Uh,
you.
I fingers crossed he does. I hope he does like a, a series, like his own
Oh, I do
series.
too. He deserves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I
We
hope
didn't see enough of Paul.
so. I hope Russell has something for him that he can get involved in, so he can have something of his own.
Yeah,
And
that would be great.
to use my new costume to use as well on videos.
Fabulous.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, definitely the 15th Doctor is going to be crazy with conventions. I think with all the
Yes.
costumes.
Yes, I think so too. It's going to be
Yeah.
wonderful to see them all.
Yeah. Would you like to work with him if like they called you up to say Ace is
Oh,
going
of
to work
course
with
I
him?
would. Yeah, no question
Yeah.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely I would.
Yeah. Because I think at the end of the Power of the Doctor, Kate Stewart said to all you around in your little group, I might want to call some of you up for some work. So
She did, didn't she? So let's hope
yeah,
Bonnie's not the only one.
yeah. Because I think yeah, hopefully not, but like maybe over time you could all be part of unit or something.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Um, because unit, like the new base by the looks of things. I know we haven't seen it properly. We will. By the time they say that, we will. But in the giggle, we get to see it. How like it looks like a very Avengers. I think like the
It
new
does,
unit.
doesn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
really Avengers like. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's something that it looks really cool. Like you have the helicopter and you have all of it there.
And it
Uh,
makes sense, doesn't it? Because it would be like that by this time, you know. It
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
it would look exactly like that.
Because it just got destroyed. So it
Yes.
it's very quick to building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like, is there a monster, Sophie, that you didn't fight during like your time that you would like to, like you to fight in Doctor
Yeah, well, apart the Weeping Angels, obviously, but then
Who?
I think the Autons are really scary as well. They'd be
Yeah,
good. I'd like to fight an Auton. That
yeah.
would be that would be
Mm.
interesting.
They are like they're scary, like especially in Rose was the first episode I
Yeah.
watched,
Mm.
and you wouldn't expect them. Like they're just, and now it's like the Weeping Angels every time you look at a statue. But now every time I go into a shopping centre and I see one of those dummies in the window, I just think of that, like they got their from that episode, which is awesome.
They are quite spooky, aren't they? The shop dummies, those mannequins with no face or sort of like those fixed faces. It was a brilliant idea
Yeah,
to have them as, you know, and
yeah,
they're from years ago, aren't they? The original. I
yeah,
can't remember what year they were first brought
for
into
sure.
Doctor Who, but there'll be many people listening to this who will. But
Yeah,
it was yeah, they're great. I'd like to have a go at them
yeah,
with my baseball bat and my Nitro 9.
yeah. I bet it was a joy to have the Nitro 9 back for the Power of the Doctor.
Oh yes, Nitro 999. Isn't it great?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was such fun. And I loved all the references to the past. It was great. Really good.
yeah. It must have been nice, like I guess reuniting with people and
Mm.
meeting new people maybe you haven't worked with in the past.
It was lovely because Janet and I had met at conventions, but we'd never worked together properly. And it was lovely to get to know her in a completely different way. And she's now a great friend, obviously.
Yeah.
Also, Gemma was brilliant as well. The three of us, we had this little gang going on. It was great because we had quite a lot of time together just sitting and chatting. And we all got on really, really well. So that was lovely.
Yeah, because Gemma, like Kate, it's like it's 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 like the family. It's like a family cycle with like Kate because like she's met loads of the new like modern Who doctors. Um, like I think David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker. So a lot of them. I think.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, she's probably worked with more doctors than anyone else.
Yeah, and like I mean, you could say she worked with David Tennant, but not really. She did win the 50th, but really briefly. But now for the 60th, just there, like in the
Yes.
midst of David Tennant's final episode.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it, but it must have been good just to like wear the gear again, probably after so long.
It was great that the moment where they took the jacket out, where I had to,
Mm.
and they kept calling it the hero jacket,
Yeah,
um, it was lovely to do that.
because you flew into the TARDIS, didn't you? Into the
Yes. Oh, that was fun. It was great because I did all the stunts myself, just like I used to back in the day, and I loved it. Um, it was a very clever but very easy thing to do because I thought, oh, I hope they're not going to do it CGI. And no, they didn't. I was actually lying flat on my back with these strings, holding it like as though I was holding the parachute. And then they wheeled me in really fast. They whizzed me into the TARDIS, and then I sort of jumped at the end of it. But it was all real as well. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was the? What, I know you probably can't pick, but what was things about each TARDIS that you liked? Because of course you went into two, like Sylvester's TARDIS and Jodie's
Mm.
TARDIS. What are things about
Mm.
both that you kind of liked about them?
Well, the thing that really worked about Jodie's TARDIS was that it was 360, so you could shoot anything in there. Whereas with Sylvester's, it was just a few like flats, as we call them. They're just big bits of, so, and the directors and camera people would hate it because there was the big console in the middle, so that you couldn't actually. We had these great big cameras as well, whereas with the Power of the Doctor, there's this Steadicam, handheld
Yeah,
cameras. So, the handheld camera can follow anything around that console, but the console was right slap bang in the middle of the shot all the time. So it
yeah,
was actually very difficult to shoot. That was the main thing. I've
yeah.
been on the new one as well. When we went to
Right.
do Tales of the TARDIS, they showed us the interior of the new TARDIS, and that was amazing. I mean, it's just so massive. It's huge. And again, you can get so many different angles and all those levels, and it was
It,
fabulous. But what I liked about it was that it was a real nod to the past. It was like Sylvester's TARDIS with the
yeah,
roundels and being white and everything. It's great.
yeah. It is very big then, like in real life.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. You wouldn't believe how big it is. Takes up pretty much the whole of one studio. It's incredible.
It's crazy. I had a feeling that it would be white because of the 60th. But I didn't feel it was going to be that big. Like when I saw it, I was thinking, "Wow!" It's like with David Tennant saying, "Wow, look at that!" And like we all think that. We're all thinking
Yes,
that at the
all
same
the
time.
fans were probably saying exactly the
Yeah,
same thing.
wow. And like when I saw that, and I just loved David's reaction because like Donna's just standing there like okay, and then like David's like the doctor's like wow, it is they're just running laps round the TARDIS,
Yes.
like he's doing a relay.
Yeah. What fun.
Yeah. Uh,
Mm.
did Was you allowed to touch like the controls like on the console?
Yes. I didn't want to touch too much though, because I thought, oh dear, I might break it. So, but yeah, I did have a little, had a couple of photos with somebody. I wish I'd taken more photos actually, but I was a bit too kind of overawed to take them.
Yeah.
But you never know. Hopefully, I mean, one day I might go back for a visit and be
Yeah.
able to go and have some photos taken.
Hopefully. I think maybe they should open that for conventions. Where you could just go to it and then you have
They
like
could, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that would be nice if they did that. But like you kind of had your own little TARDIS in the Tales of the TARDIS, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
well, that was in contrast, was really small and lovely, and it was very intimate, and there was just this incredible memorabilia in there. I spotted loads of little things. There was one thing I saw which was Bill Potts's University Student Union card. And there was racks of TARDIS keys as well, a little rack with all the TARDIS keys on and all sorts of really brilliant stuff. Yeah, you could tell that fans had been involved in the design somehow.
Yeah. It is great. It's great. Like you get all that memorable stuff. Like you can. I think in each episode they had different things scattered
Yes,
around.
they did. Yeah, because we had the kite and the poster from the Happiness Patrol, but everybody had their own little thing. And then the hat, of course, which I put on,
Yeah, yeah. Of course you had the hat. And then
and the
uh,
baseball bat.
yeah, and the baseball bat. Um, which
And it
is
was
great.
Sylvester's idea to hide behind Colin's coat because he thought, well, that's a nod to when he regenerated because he was wearing Colin's coat then. So he hid himself behind Colin's coat. That was fun.
That was awesome. Like prior to being in Doctor Who, was you a fan of it? But like before, like you say,
I'd watched it growing up and been scared of it and then not watched it and then watched it again a bit. But I wasn't a fan like I know fans are fans now. So it was really, um, it's been great to sort of slowly become a fan myself, really.
yeah. I guess once you've,
Yeah.
because a lot of people say Doctor Who is unlike any other thing that you can be in. Would you
Oh,
say that the
yeah,
same for you?
undoubtedly. Yeah, but no shadow of doubt. Yeah. I mean, still knowing people who I've known for all this time and knowing the fans as well, growing up with growing, and I've known them ever since. Or even, I think one person was telling me they made a studio visit to the set of Dragonfire. So I've known them ever since then.
That's awesome. It's so impactful, isn't it? Like the show and as a whole.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's impacted me and everybody who's been in it over the years, the regulars. It's had a huge impact on our whole lives. I don't know what I'd be doing now if it wasn't for Doctor Who, because I'm still doing it after all this time.
Was it a shock when you got asked to come back for the Power of the Doctor?
Yeah, completely out of the blue. It was amazing. And I was so emotional. I actually burst into tears because it was the sort of the dream I didn't know I had. I'd always wondered what it would be like, but actually to be asked was just such a thrill. It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Mm.
now I think like the Tales of the TARDIS was the start of this kind of spin-offs. I think like the return. So maybe like if you don't, there's always options for characters to be in spin-offs as well. Now I feel maybe from Russell, perhaps.
Well, I hope you're right, Mason. That would be really good. I'd love to do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, like imagine the Ace adventures or something where you just go on your own adventures in your own TARDIS, maybe where you're just fighting Daleks with your baseball bat.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, I'd love that.
It would, it would, and it'd be nice. But last few things, Sophie. I just want to ask like with conventions and going to them, what is it like from your perspective, like from being someone that I guess they want to see you, they want to have photos of you, they want you to sign things. What is like? Does it really impact you? Like overwhelming? What's it like?
Well, it's funny because it's not until somebody who's never been to one, like a friend or whatever, goes, "Oh my goodness," that I really realize what a privilege it is, because I've been doing them ever since I did Dragonfire. So that's what, 30 something years. So to me, I don't get overwhelmed because it's just like what I do. It's like it's a job, you know. But I don't quite see it as that, actually. I mean, it is an absolute privilege to have people come and tell me the difference that Ace has made to their lives, and how, you know, people say things like they were bullied at school and they just used to think, what would Ace do? What would Ace do? And the most you do realize that through this medium, you're able to make a difference to people. So it really is a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, it is, and like I've only just started going to them actually this year. Um, I have, and like the first person, it's actually very memorable. That like the first person I've ever met at a convention is David Tennant. So,
Mm,
so it's not. I won't
good
forget that.
start.
Yeah, very good start.
Mm,
And then I thought I really like that. I want to go to more because you get to see the people that you've really liked on television.
yes,
Um, and like they're on my wall there, all the people I've met, and
I can see. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Right.
uh, there's still some people on there that have because I have to get some frames or a couple of them that I haven't been haven't been put up yet. Like more recently, like Alex Kingston. I met her um at Telford Comic Con. But yeah, it's nice that who you bump into, and you say, I liked you. You were so good. And I guess it's like you, like you say, it's not a job because you just enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully, I guess we'll meet one day in person. Hopefully, we have a picture in the costume.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah, I look forward
Yeah,
to that, Mason.
yeah. And hopefully you'll remember me.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
uh,
sure I will.
I'm sure. You'll just remember me by saying I have all these things on my wall. Um, from Doctor Who meeting people.
I like that T-shirt as well.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
cool. Your
yeah.
T-shirt there.
It's great because it's all cartoons of all the Doctors. So you've got
Great.
all of them, even Chuti Gatwa. He's there.
Wow, that's fantastic, isn't it?
Um,
Where's Sylvester? I can't see him.
um, where is he? I think he's. It's hard to see when it's on. Um, he's somewhere.
Yeah, I think
He's
he
somewhere.
must be on your left-hand side somewhere because I can't see that. So
Yeah, yeah. He might be there. I mean, he's definitely. He might be at the bottom because.
it's
But
great though.
he's there.
Love it.
He's there somewhere.
He's there somewhere.
He's there somewhere.
Of course he
Um,
is.
yeah, that all of them are there. I think even the War Doctor's there, John Hurt.
Oh, there he is. I've just seen him. He's right in the middle
Oh, is he
under
there?
your chin. Yeah, can you
Oh, right
see
there.
him?
Is that
Yeah,
there?
there he is.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Um, yeah. But yeah, he's there. And I got that, I guess, especially for the 60th anniversary because I thought I need to get a top that has all of the Doctors on, in cartoon form because it's just the best. I think. But yeah. But with, I guess, lastly, Sophie, before we finish, is there like maybe any highlights, maybe favorite scenes that you like from or episodes that from your run, or is it
Oh,
hard to
I think
choose?
for me, it probably is the Curse of Fenrick. Although I love Remembrance of the Daleks, but personally for me, I was still finding my feet. By Curse of Fenrick, I was really comfortable. I absolutely knew who the character of Ace was. And Ace was given such an amazing backstory in that story. And what's not to love about Second World War, vampires, and Norse mythology all rolled into one with the Doctor. And it's the first time that you get to see that the Doctor is kind of manipulating the companion, and I think that that has continued into the new series, and I just thought it was a very, very well written story.
Yeah, that was a really good story. I guess that's why. What did you have any say to what episode that they were going to use on your episode for Tales of the TARDIS? Yeah.
No, complete surprise. Pete McTighe, he wrote it. He did tell me that it's one of the best things he's ever written. He feels was
Yeah.
the Curse of Fenrick, and that was lovely to hear him say that because he's just done such amazing work.
Yeah. It was good how they made it all into one rather than like the space of the parts
Yeah,
in the series. But maybe for another series they could have it where like yourselves have a longer conversation. Um, they could just do it where it's like you're reuniting like you were, but where you're just having like maybe an adventure like in the
that
TARDIS
would be
somewhere.
lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah, because
Yeah.
we ended up pressing a lot of buttons. So where did we go to? That would be great.
Yeah. It was like you were just stuck in space by the looks of it. But,
Hmm.
but who knows where you went. Um,
Yeah,
but Sophie, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
it's an absolute pleasure,
Yeah,
Mason. Thank you for
yeah.
having me.
It's always an honor. And like I say, hopefully we meet one day at a convention.
That would be
Um,
lovely. Good.
and I hope you have a nice Christmas and a New Year as well.
Thank you very much, and
Um,
a really merry, well,
um,
by the time this goes out, it'll be a happy new year
yeah,
to everybody on your podcast.
definitely. And I have to say, we are race.
Hey,
Hey.
there
But
we go.
to anyone listening and watching today, we hope you enjoy the last episode of 2023. And yeah, like Sophie says, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.